Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. Recently, one of you guys asked if we could come up with a high velocity 12 gauge field load, and that's what we're doing here. We're doing a 1 1/4 ounce load of copper plated number 6 shot, loaded to 1450 FPS. I believe he wanted something that would reach out to 40, maybe 50 yards and still effectively take stuff like, I don't know, pheasants. But yeah, so I was looking at Federal's line of their Prairie Storm, and I noticed they had some pretty potent stuff, especially for, well, they have a 16 gauge load. It's ounce and an eighth, moving 1425 FPS, and it looks like they're using their flight control wad in that load. So I'm doing something similar here. We're not using a flight control wad, obviously. We're not even using a TPS. We are using the Claybuster CB1138 wad. And guys, this is a load right off of Alliance website with minor differences. The load calls for 37.5 grains of blue dot, which I have right here, but we're backing that powder charge down to straight 37 grains, down a half a grain, and we're using some buffer. That should allow us to use buffer and not go crazy over the listed PSI. This load is listed at 1475 FPS and 10,600 PSI. But again, we're using straight 37 grains, not the 37.5 it calls for, which should allow us to use buffer. Now, the data is a Winchester AA hull. I'm using a Winchester original compression form AA, but you could also use the AAHS if you have those. I have some, but I like these better. They crimp better. They're just easier to work with, and they last longer, in my opinion and experience. But Winchester 209 primer, 37 grains of blue dot. Again, the data calls for 37.5. It calls for 1 1/4 ounces of lead shot. I'm using 1.22 ounces of copper plated number 6 shot, and we are buffering that up to the 1 1/4 ounce. And one other difference is I'm using a Mylar wrap. This is the Ballistic Products My Slim Mylar. It will help tighten patterns up a little bit, but it will also stop flyers. So all in all, it's a fairly simple load. And again, the only things I'm doing different is incorporating a Mylar wrap and backing the powder charge down half a grain to allow us to use buffer. Alright, let's get started here. This is a 4-time fired now original AA. Has a Winchester 209 in it. This was a once fired when we got it, and we have loaded it 3 times, so this will be its 5th firing once we fire it again. So, deprime and resize. We need our Winchester primer. It's right here. Ring is off, and we are now reprimed. Alrighty guys, we need 37 grains of blue dot. I've probably said that 4 or 5 times by now, but I'll say it again, 37 grains of blue dot. Looks like we have it right there. And we do. We have 37 grains of blue dot. The Claybuster CB1138 wad. You could also use the original Winchester WAA12R if you have those, but I have the Claybuster CB1138s. And that's what the data calls for. It's the CB1138. Now, Ballistic Products My Slim Mylar, which is for small bore, but it's also useful in 12 gauge, and 16 gauge, 20 gauge, right inside a wad. Now, we just need 1 1/4 ounces of copper plated number 6 shot. I'm actually using 1.22 ounces, so just shy of 1 1/4. And lastly, we are using Ballistic Products ITX buffer, 1 level scoop of the Lee 2.2 cc dipper. That should get us exactly 1 1/4 ounces, and it does, 1.25. And once you have your buffer flushed with the top row of pellets, go ahead and crimp this. These have an 8-point crimp, so front station of the Lee load all, and you want a crease between the 2 points facing you. All in all, fairly simple load, guys. Goes together quick and easy, and it's basically just an old school load. Very, very nice crimp on that. So easy to put together. I ended up with a little tiny pinhole right in the middle of the crimp, and I probably could have used more pre-crimp, but that's fine. We'll just take a trick out of Wade Rush's playbook and add a little bit of clear nail polish to that and seal it right up. Problem solved. Now the whole idea behind this was taking a light turkey load, light for 12 gauge anyway, and bumping the velocity up to 1450, 1475 FPS and using a turkey choke to reach out to 40-50 yards and hopefully still make it pattern well. Guys, we will be posting the patterning video of this load right here the same day this video goes live, so look for it. Federal's Prairie Storm line is actually very similar to this, although again they are using their flight control wad, and well, they have their own unique pellet, and I'm just using straight copper-plated number 6. And this is a load that people would have put together decades ago. But guys, I think that's going to do it for me. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. And if you want to, go check out our Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month. You guys get early access to content. A link to that, as well as a link to our Instagram and Rumble accounts, will be in the description below. But other than that, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.